All right, my name's Cady Childs. I'm with Clarion Content with Shirlette and Shorlette Ammons. We're here to talk about SugarQube Records, which they've just announced launching. It's very exciting. So obviously you guys are twins.
So we've heard. Yeah.
So you've heard?
Yeah.
Is it true you guys can read each other's minds? Is that a
It's
fair
happening
testament?
right now.
Happening right now? So you guys did not grow up in Durham, but you grew up in North Carolina. Where did you get your roots?
We grew up outside of Mount Olive, North Carolina, small town, Botankus, and which is like east of Durham, like maybe an hour and a half east of Durham, so eastern North Carolina.
So I know one of your goals with SugarQube is kind of taking these genres and stereotypes that have been established in music for so long and breaking them and blurring them. What are some of the ways you're going to seek to do that with SugarQube?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just, excuse me, the general beholdenness to genres, which I feel like it's been happening a long time, that music has been kind of defiant of genres, especially in Durham. You know, we all work collectively and together, and I have these conversations all the time about, you know, the fact that we work across and in between genres all the time, and by doing so we create a hybrid of music that represents a larger, more cohesive experience. So I think the first thing is to defy genre, and make people question genre in a way that they don't feel like. I feel like genre is a barrier. So, and especially when it comes to stereotypes of who makes what kind of music and what you look like if you make this type of music, or you know, who you represent if you make this type of music. So that's the first thing. I think the other thing is access. Just generally being transparent about the process of who gets heard and why. Oftentimes, whether or not people are heard is not about how good the music is. I feel like we created a good record with Language Barrier, which is SugarQube, and Church Key Records' first co-release, which is my sophomore record. But beyond that, like the primary reason I'm being heard is because I've had access to music and musicians. I've infiltrated spaces, and I've been able to like cultivate an audience based on those two values. And also people have like invested money in us and in our dream for this to happen. So I think when we think about underrepresented, we think about all the different ways and different types of people who don't get heard for reasons beyond music that are not at all associated with music.
So I know with your next album coming out, your sophomore release is going to be in collaboration with Church Key. Obviously, collaboration is huge to any creative process, especially musically. But you know, how has that affected you personally and fed you creatively?
The people that most inspired me about collaboration were the Dynamite Brothers. That was like my first album I did like intentionally, collaboratively. We did Shirlette and the Dynamite Brothers, a record that was taking the music that the Dynamite Brothers created and lyrics that I wrote, and then from there we had guest artists on it. But that was probably the best example. I think we always kind of like ask guests to come on and like drop a verse or, you know, spit a rhyme or something, but this was different in that it felt like a mutual bringing to the table, not like you got 16 bars, you can add to this. It was way more it was more inclusive than that.
So on your new album that's coming out, I know you've got a lot of cool people featured. You have Amelia from Sylvan Esso, His Golden Messenger. Who else are we going to see? What should we expect from that?
Exciting. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's mostly a process of just everybody who's on the record are people who I just simply adore as musicians and people. So this first single is Earth Intro, which features the Indigo Girls, who I was fortunate enough to tour with for a week last fall. And Amelia is just a homegirl whose music I adore, and like we've been cool for a while, so I asked her to do a song called Aviator. His Golden Messenger, I'm like, I just crush on that dude. I think he's just like, I think he's just a gem, and I dig his voice, and I like his worker man aesthetic, and I think he writes really beautiful, simple songs that just kind of just touch the heart of you know, making a way. And Meshell Ndegeocello is on the record, which is like a big, freaking huge deal. Anybody who's known me for any length of time knows that Meshell is like only second to Prince in my book.
That's It's a big
So
tier to be at.
Yeah. So to have her on this record is like everything. Median from Foreign Exchange. My girl Jocelyn Ellis, who's from Charlotte, from Durham, but lives in Charlotte. Beautiful vocalist. Phil Cook's on it. I'm sure. Oh, my comrade Suki, German rapper out of Berlin. So yeah, it's just a hodgepodge of people. And Heather McIntyre from Mount Moriah.
Okay. So you guys have both been tied to music, obviously, for a very long time. Was there a moment when you decided starting a label was something you really wanted to do and just hit the ground running, or was it more of a slow process? How did it all kind of come together for you?
I think when we decided to do it, we were like on it. You know, it was a pretty quick turnaround. When we said we're gonna do it, we just jumped right into it. But I mean, I think it's kind of not far removed from how we were raised. I mean, because I think this SugarQube itself represents collaboration. Because I mean, that's just how we hardly ever did anything separately. We grew up in a big family, so everything was about collaboration. So so to start this it's not like, I don't think it's a shock to us, but we were just riding in the car, driving home for like maybe a cookout or something, because we cook out all the time. Yeah. And Twin was just talking about just the difficulty of, you know, getting this record out, and you know, and I'm biased, but I've always been a fan of the work she does as, you know, as an artist, and I was like, you know, this is quality stuff, and it don't make sense that, you know, it's having such a hard time to connect it with the right people. And so it's like, you know, just like, we'll do it ourselves, you know. And so we just started grinding, just start hitting up people that we know just believe in, you know, what we do as people in the world, and you know, and believe in Twin's music, and you know, and it just kind of blossomed from there. And we threw out a lot of whack names.
What were some first names
I should have said it.
Yeah, you shouldn't have said that.
Well, the obvious, anything that has to do with twins.
Yeah, all those Wonder Twins.
And
So you call her Twin? That's your nickname for her? I heard you say that.
Yeah.
Do you call her that too?
Twin or turd or
All right.
turtle.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you guys have, I'm sure, very similar musical tastes, but I'm sure there's parts where they differ as well. Where do they differ, and you know, how do you think that's going to affect the artist that you eventually end up putting out?
Well, I mean, hopefully that'll blend in a way that allows us to be really eclectic and not like just have one lane that we're riding in terms of the kind of music that we're seeking out. Right now, our focus is on getting this out, and that's another good, you know, beauty of like working with Church Key. We just kind of get exposed, because this is brand new. This part of it's brand new, especially for me. So being able to work with an established label, you know, gives me the opportunity to just kind of study and research and become more familiar with what's out there.
Yeah, I think that's key. I just think, just if only for the reason that I've been making music for a while, I probably have a wider girth of music. But I mean, we're good at turning each other on to stuff. Before the label, we always send each other stuff that we find interesting and are motivated to do that. And, I think that's the primary thing, is just being open to both of us, bringing stuff to the table and kind of making a stew from it.
You guys could be doing this anywhere. I'm sure you've had a lot of people say you should do it in like New York or Atlanta, something like that. I mean, other than your actual native roots to North Carolina, what's bringing you to do it here? What keeps you in Durham?
Our dad lived here for a long time here in Durham, and Twin's been here Shirlette's been here for a while, and I just moved here a year ago. I just love the energy of Durham and the scene. I came from back home, which was a smaller town, and so I just recognize the amount of opportunity here, and also just the ability to connect with other artists so easily, and the willingness. And you know, we're deeply Southern. I mean, I feel like we're where we're supposed to be. And anytime we do anything, whether together or apart, we know we represent a larger Southern cultural background and experience, and you know, and family. So I mean, I feel like even if we were doing this somewhere else, we would never be disconnected from all of those things. And it just makes sense. And this is the first time we lived in the same town since college. So it's nice to be able to go right up the street and meet and, you know, and work on these kinds of things.
And the other thing I would add to that is just that Durham is really a hub for like a cultural convergence right now, and it's not like it's the first time it's happened. Many times over and over historically, and to be here now feels really like vibrant. And again, going back to like the way artists commune across genre and across mediums, I think that is like probably. I think it challenges us to like create work that is like beyond like the possibility of what we know, because when you have like people that are adding all these different things to the mix, there's no way you can create something that's like not unique.
You know, you just mentioned that it is definitely a cyclical process with any small town, and the creativity that comes and goes and the surgence of people. Is that something you guys have noticed, you know, in the past few years? Definitely in the South, there's more food and culture and creativity.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's changed, but it's just like you said, it's a refamiliarizing, you know, of culture. To me, I mean, my 9 to 5 is in food work, so the resurgence of local, it's just a reminder of things that people kind of have moved away from and have a need to get back to, and I think we're seeing the same thing in music, and you know, I think it's just a ripe time to be a part of something that's bigger than and outside of your supposed lane or what you consider, because things are just kind of mixing and blurring so much, and we need that level of interconnectivity in order to just kind of, you know, kind of decrease so much of the polarization that's happening, like in media and, you know, so I feel like this is a really cool opportunity for us to just dip our toe in and, you know, and contribute in the way that we can.
So Hopscotch is right around the corner. I know we're going to look forward to seeing you there. Where can we find you? You know, what are you going to be playing?
1 or 2 new tracks. I'll be playing with an all-star cast, which includes my man Tom Rao, who Durham knows, and Chris Berner, who is a beautiful, crazy guitarist and producer. I call him Noodle Boy because he just noodles on the guitar.
Noodle Boy.
And Nick Baglio on drums, who's a badass drummer. I'll be playing Church Key's day party called The Layabout at Slim's on next Friday, September 11th at 2 o'clock. And it's frankly one of my favorite day parties. It just happens to be. So I suggest people get there early because it starts at noon and it's always packed. And they go from like artists outside to artists inside and back and forth. And I'm playing outdoors at around 2 o'clock.
Where can we find you online now to get some more information from you guys?
Well, we'll be out and about at Hopscotch, especially on Friday. So we'll have
free stuff.
With free stuff. Look for some SugarQube merch, and the website is just SugarQubeRecords.com. Twitter is SQ Records.
Okay.
And Facebook is just SugarQube Records, and the same for Instagram. So yeah, so check us out. I mean, we just wanted people to hear the music and hit us back and just be wherever we are. We'd love to just connect with folks.
Cool. And the new single drops next Thursday.
September 10th.
Called Earth Intro, and it features the Indigo Girls and myself. All the music for the record was composed by Daniel Hart, which I need to mention because he's a bad man, crazy violin and string dude who does beautiful, lush arrangements. So really honored to have all his music featured on this record.
He's the one who worked with St. Vincent?
St. Vincent,
Yeah.
Broken Social Scene, Polyphonic Spree.
Wow.
Remember them? The cult.
Yeah.
Like they're not.
Yeah. Well, not,
they just look like a big choir. Choir like that's the Freudian. But but I mean, he's just a bad man, and he hails from. I met him here in Chapel Hill, but I think he's from North Carolina.
Just want to say thank you to Shirlette and Shorlette of SugarQube. We had a great time. Very excited to hear more from you guys.